July 29th, 11:57 a.m. This is low-tech operation. That's George Bush, 2002, at the the height of his popularity. He's loved by everybody. He's about to invade Iraq, and he's with the always hilarious Washington Press Corps. He's the greatest comedian ever, greatest presidential comedian in history by far. He's on the eve of invading Iraq. The mainstream press is all for it, all this bullshit about, Dick Cheney and the evil Dick Cheney and the evil so and so and so. 100% of all the liberals I knew were 100% for George Bush. They loved him. They loved Donald Rumsfeld. They loved Dick Cheney. I didn't know anybody on the eve of the invasion of Iraq. The only people opposed to it were his own father and his father's foreign policy advisors, like Brzezinski from Carter era and Jim Baker and Brent Scowcroft. None of these names are familiar to anybody, I'm sure. But also, Germany and France weren't interested. They thought this was stupid. Anybody with any brains thought it was stupid, meaning everybody in the country thought this was a fantastic idea to show how mighty America is, and they can do anything they want to do. They can go in and destroy a whole country, bomb a country into oblivion. After that was done, then the Germans and the French were all for foreign policy. As soon as they saw you could get away with this, there were going to be no repercussions. They didn't bring God into account. Nobody believes in God. I believe in God. I believed in God then. I was one of the people that went down to. It was less than 1% of the country. I got a bus from New York City down to Washington D.C. to, march around Washington, the capital, down and around the little tiny group of war protesters, like the Lincoln Brigades from George Orwell's era, were there in their 70s. And what was noticeable is half the signs, if not more, were misspelled. People couldn't at this point in Americans' tragic history of epic stupidity. The people aren't even basically literate, even the ones opposed to the war. Let's hear, though, who is being honored, and this is telling about who America is.
What a fantastic audience we had tonight. Washington power brokers, celebrities, Hollywood stars, Ozzy Osbourne.
Everybody loves Ozzy. He's a Satanist, just like them. It's a standing ovation.
Okay, Ozzy. Might have been a mistake. The thing about Ozzy is he's made a lot of big hit recordings. Party with the Animals, Sabbath, Bloody Sabbath, Facing Hell, Black Skies, and Bloodbath in Paradise. Ozzy, Mom loves your stuff.
That's what's called telling. Ozzy, Mom loves your stuff. And who is Mom? Mom is Aleister Crowley's daughter, Barbara Bush. That's my belief. There's plenty. I have mountains of evidence showing who Barbara Bush really is. and who the Bush family really is, and who America really is, and who they really follow. They follow Ozzy Osbourne. Now we have Ozzy, full satanic glory on his black throne, all dressed in black. You can see from 2002, this guy is non-compos mentis like George Bush, like the rest of the Washington Press Corps. And the applause, who are they applauding? They're applauding Satan. They're about to go in and massacre thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions. And it's carried on through the Clinton administration with, Madam Secretary Albright. Not so bright, not so swift like Taylor Swift. You have, these people are so low IQ, how do they get to the top of the presidency, the top of the foreign policy administration, the top of corporations, the top of the recording industry, the top artists in the country? Well, because Satan puts them there. How else do they get there? What people that can't... Ozzy Osbourne, no doubt, couldn't pass his grade school classes. He's completely illiterate. And now all I see is how, by the Christian community, of course, how Ozzy was saved. Let's see how Ozzy said he wasn't really a Satanist. Let's roll all the tapes. Really, in this demented Christianity, all you have to do is say you're a Christian. You don't have to practice Christianity. You don't have to obey any of God's laws. You don't have to profess your belief in Jesus Christ. No, you just do whatever. That's called Aleister Crowley black sex magic religion. That's what they all subscribe to, and that is why, that very simply, God is totally destroying the United States of America and all its affiliated devotees. Starting with California, which is going to be falling under the waves, into the sea, as God calls it. It's American Sodom and Gomorrah. Believe it or not, this is reality. Wake up, turn to Jesus, repent, or go with Ozzy and George Bush and the Washington Press Corps and Macron and Ursula von der Leyen and the New World Order in Switzerland, the CERN scientists, and all the people who are bringing such a fantastic utopia to this planet. I don't know how much stupider people can get. They're past the point. Most of them are past the point of reason, are past the point of any kind of knowledge. They just sit and burble and eat their food, and it drips down their face as they, glutton huge award ceremonies and food and mass weddings and celebrations and award ceremonies for Zelensky. And don't bother to face this reality that Europe is kaput. America is kaput. The economy is completely dead. The Canadian economy is completely dead. And yet I'm sitting here in beautiful sunny Ontario, and there isn't a glimmer of awareness or consciousness. It's called human consciousness. It's Christ consciousness, the mind of God. But no, we have Allen Ginsberg and Alan Watts and Alan, what's his name? All the Al's, Big Al, Al Capone, Alphonse, St. Alfonso's Pancake Breakfast, and Frank Zappa, and all this ridicule of Christianity. Well, God isn't laughing. And neither are the people that are being destroyed going to be laughing. But that's all I have to say for this little 12-minute segment, 11-minute segment. And God bless you. I'm saying this out of love and concern, not out condemning people. They're condemning themselves.